When you sing a bracha on a mitzvah, any bracha on a mitzvah is supposed to stand. So he's saying the brachas HaTorah in the morning, Al Divrei Soida, V'Harev, Asher Bachar Banu. These are brachas that you need to stand. You don't have to stand by the other brachas. Until Siddayim you should stand. But the other brachas HaShachar, you don't have to stand. People usually stand because why not? But if you stand and sit up the whole time. Stand, sit, stand. So usually stand. But luckily, you don't have to stand by brachas, only by birchas. So I've got my phone down. I should have left it downstairs. I usually do, but this time, all right. Yeah. Huh?
I think the sitter says to stand.
Show me where it says it. Not that it's going to make much of a difference. I'm just curious. Because generally people stand, but until Siddayim you stand. It's a bracha, a bracha on a mitzvah. The only bracha, there's exception. We don't have to stand when you say a bracha on a mitzvah when you separate challah.
It just says stand all the time when he lost.
Is it? Where is it? Stand or side in the morning. Okay, they say a lot of things over here that they say do this. I mean that's what we tell. Yeah, I mean generally, it's easier to tell people to stand because I guess you're saying you stand, so you stand. You stand, sit down, stand, sit down. Just stand, and it's simple. But logically, you have to stand. There's a brachas like pekechim, thanking Hashem for different things. What do you have to stand for? Okay. We're in now davening. What is important in davening? So let's say in a situation where you cannot daven everything. Yeah. It's Hashem, you have a baby, and there's no time to daven. Or generally you are busy with children and sometimes women don't end up davening because there's no time to daven, so they don't daven. So we know generally women are exempt from mitzvahs, from many mitzvahs, from positive commandments, time-bound mitzvahs, because one of the explanations is because they have other obligations, other commitments. But nevertheless, women are still obligated to daven. At least Shmoneh, at least Amida, they're obligated to daven. So the minimal amount of davening for them is davening Shmoneh 2 times a day, Shachris and Mincha. And then, of course, the brachas in the morning. And then you have Birchas Krishma. Now, so the most important tefillah for them is Shmoneh Esrei. And then, if you have more time, you should daven, you should do Birchas, you should do Shema and Birchas Krishma. So right after Yishtabach, we start the bracha Yitzirei V'Eirech V'Eshech until the Amida. You should say the whole thing. That's if you have more time than just Shmoneh. And then comes, I'm not going in the order of tefillah, you're not davening backwards, right? I'm saying then, we're saying if you have more time, we're not going backwards like Shmoneh, and you have more time, Birchas Krishma, you're not davening backwards. I'm saying if you have, you can have more time. So then you also add Psukkah de Zimra, which is Baruch Shamar. If you could go from Baruch Shamar all the way, everything, it's great. But if not, then Baruch Shamar, Ashrei Yishtabach. That's the minimum. Baruch Shamar, Ashrei Yishtabach. Then go straight until after the Midah. That's the minimum amount of davening. If you don't even have time for that, then just Midah. If you have more time than that, then you do more Psukkah de Zimra. You say the Halalukas. No, Ashrei Halalukas, all the Halalukas. If you have more time, you say Baruch David. Shemar goes to more specific details, like we're playing with minutes over here, exactly which Halaluka. I'm not going to go into all those details, but If you have more time just saying Ashrei, you say first comes all the Halalukas, and then comes Vayvarach David, and then comes the other things. Now, what's important in davening is, besides saying the words, is to have kavanah to know what you're saying, but specifically to have kavanah in at least the first pasuk of Shemona, brach of Shemona Esra. So you make sure you start Shemona Esra, you start at least the first brach with proper kavanah. And then also in Ashrei, there's a pasuk Pesach es yadecha umaspia v'tocharatsim. Make sure when you come to that pasuk, you have kavanah. Pesach es yadecha, open up your hand umaspia and satiate the chol chai to all life. Yotzim, their yotzim means their need. Yotzim can mean different things. Remember, it's give everyone who's alive to give yotzim what they need. So you want to make sure you have kavanah in that pasuk. If you don't have kavanah in front of the pasuk, and you realize later, you have to go back. If you still psukim deserve
The whole Ashrei.
no, you just go back to the pasuk and take it from there. You're ready to finish Yishtabach, and you're ready. It's after Yishtabach, and then you're saying Ashrei after the Amidah, so you make sure to have kavanah in the Ashrei after the Amidah. Yeah. Birchos Kriya Shema. At the end of the bracha that's right before Shema, you might want to use a siddur. We might want to use a siddur, otherwise it's just going to go right over your head. So right before Shema, we say Uvanu v'charta mikolam v'loshen kevtanu makenu v'shimcha agodu be'avra l'hoidus b'kol yachet v'ashmecha. Yeah? In those words, there's a lot of kavanah you have to have. So the Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch, the kavanah you need to have is you have it right before Shema. You have it right before Shema. You have it. Kikeil Poel Yeshui Satan. You have those words? Right before the Shema. The conclusion of the bracha that you say right before you say the Shema. Kikeil, you have the words Kikeil Poel Yeshui Satan. Then goes Uvanu v'charta mikol am v'loshen. What does it mean Uvanu v'charta? Uvanu in us, v'charta, you have chosen us. You have chosen us mikol am v'loshen, from every nation and language. Hashem chose us. So when you say these words, you have to have kavanah, you have to have a special intention over there. What's the intention you have to have? You have chosen us and you have given us the Torah. Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah. Shavuos. What goes after that? Uvanu, you see when it says the words Uvanu v'charta, and you have chosen us. Uvanu and us. What are you thinking when you say those words? You have chosen us. You have chosen us, and you gave us the Torah. That's what you're thinking. What goes after that? What are the following words? They come on the Lashon. Yeah, you chose us from every nation and language, right? That goes together. What goes after? The Kenaftanu Malkin. You have brought us closer. You have brought us closer to Shem Hagal. It's a great name. So the Kenaftanu, when you're saying and you have brought us closer, you have to think. You have brought us closer to Har Sinai. The Shimcha Gal, you brought us closer to his great name, the great name of Hashem. So by these words, the Shimcha Gal, to the great name, you have to be thinking that Hashem's name is not going to be complete until we destroy Amalek. That's when Hashem's name will be complete. You could see in the end of Parshas Bashalach, Rashi brings over there, also speaks about it, that Hashem's name is not complete until Amalek is destroyed. What was afterwards? Be'avra. You brought us closer with love. And then what goes after that? To praise you. So over here, when you say to praise you, you have to be thinking to praise you. How do we praise Hashem with our mouth? The mouth is for praising, not for Lashon Hara, not the way it was the story of Miriam when she spoke Lashon Hara against Moshe. But rather, the mouth is just for praising. Praising Hashem specifically. What was afterwards? To make your name one, and to love the name of Hashem. So over here, what do you have to be thinking over here? To love Hashem, to be in love with Hashem, and not the way it was when the Jews, after they received the Torah, when they were in the desert, and then they got involved with the angel, with the golden calf. They were not in love with Hashem at that time. So that's what you have to be thinking, actually, when you're saying these words. Takes habit, you get into a habit, and eventually it becomes part of you. Then in Shema itself, now of course, when you're saying Shema, you have to have kavanah. Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad. I think that kavanah, you know what the kavanah is, Hashem Echad? You know already? Hashem. What do you think about Hashem Echad? Hashem is one. But what else? Hashem Echad. But also you have to be thinking in the Echad. What do you have in the word Echad? You know anything about it? Maybe this also comes in the Chassidus too. It's in Shulchan Aruch, it's in Halacha. This it comes in a much deeper level. But even in Halacha itself, you have about the word Echad, where it speaks about it, that the kavanah is to be that the word Echad is an Aleph, a Ches, and a Dalet. The Ches stands for the seven, there's the Zayin, the seven skies, and then there's the earth. That's Ches. Dalet is the four corners of the world. So you have to be thinking that the Ches, the seven skies, and the earth, Dalet, and all four corners of the world, and the entire world is nullified to the Aleph, which is Hashem. So in Echad, you have the Bitul, you have the Ches and the Dalet, which represents all the worlds. The entire universe is nullified to Aleph, to Hashem, who is one. That's for Shulchan Aruch. Then you have a Chassidus on a much broader, a much deeper level. We explain Echad, unity of Hashem, Bitul, all different levels of Bitul, Bitul Yesh, Bitul Mitzias. I'm going into that. And then, right, so in Shema, the most crucial part of Kavanah is the first 12 words of Shema. Shema Yisrael and Pasuk Baruch Shem. Then you have in the third parsha of Shema, Uzechartem es kol mitzvahs Hashem. You see in the last third parsha, it's in the middle of the parsha. Uzechartem es kol mitzvahs Hashem asisim leisam. See the words Uzechartem.
Right.
In the third parsha of Shema Banyomer.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was pointing.
So here it says, now in the simple sense, it's talking about tzitzis. That through the mitzvah of tzitzis, we remember all the mitzvahs. But it says, when you're davening, the kavanah should be, like think about the mitzvah of Shabbos. And it says, and you should remember, it's kol mitzvah, all the mitzvahs of Hashem. This refers to, this is a hint to Shabbos, because Shabbos is equal to all the mitzvahs. That's what it means. Remember, what do you mean all the mitzvahs? Shabbos is equal to all the mitzvahs. That's the kavanah that you're supposed to have. In addition to the simple words, what the meaning of the words, you should have this kavanah when you say these words. You think about Shabbos, which is all the mitzvahs, because it's equal to all the mitzvahs. When you say Hashem Elokecha, now we spoke about Hashem Elokecha. Remember, we already discussed that, right? Spoke about Hashem Svasei Tiftach. Hashem says tiftach is, I'm going to say it again because apparently this is a big misconception people have, and we hear it all the time. Hashem Svasei Tiftach is part of the Shemoneh Esrei. You're not saying Hashem Svasei Tiftach while you're going back and forth. After, when you're ready for Shemoneh Esrei, then you start saying Hashem Svasei Tiftach. Go back 3 steps, go forward 3 steps, and then you say Hashem Svasei Tiftach. During Shema, you're not allowed to make any hints, any motions. In the middle of saying Shema, and someone is asking you something, you cannot make with your eyes, you go like this. You cannot make it with your eyes. Even with your eyes, make a motion with your eyes like that. You make your motion. You can't do that during Shema. If it's for the purpose of a mitzvah, then from the second parsha, V'haya Shemaya, if it's for a mitzvah, perhaps something that's important, you're not dealing with children, it's Hashem, and it's something you feel that it's crucial, and it's like child is like, emotional, whatever. So I would assume that's also a situation where, well, that might not even help. Whatever I'm saying, when Shalach says from V'haya Shemaya. If it's for the purpose of a mitzvah, then you can make, not saying words, motion, we're going like that with your hands. Yeah, what's the?
What page? Yeah. 42.
On the second one, if it's for a mitzvah, you could motion, not speak words, but make a motion with hands, with your eyes, gestures, then you could.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
It's okay. This is what I meant to ask you yesterday, but I can remember. I'm sorry, like, kids are and like it says. There's something hold on.
Where am I looking at?
Here, then
This one?
this one, yeah, it says take 3 steps back from the hell.
Oh, okay, good, very good, fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I only took 3 steps back, like
After
after
going
going
through.
through, yeah.
Okay, good, thank you for reminding me that, that's another detail. Yeah, you want to ask?
What is one for Mintas? It's because like sometimes people recite it like morning. And sometimes they'll recite it
They still say
So is
no?
Yeah, so is it different for women?
Okay, so let me just finish with this. So the proper way when you go back 3 steps, more specifically, is that you go back when you start saying the words Tilas Lekera, and it says you should start going back 3 steps. That's what it says. That's good. I guess the idea is so when you say going slow, because right after going slow, you have to start right away. Why specific Tilas? I'm not sure, but it says from Tilas Lekera, it says you should start going back 3 steps. And then, and you finish and you say Baruch Atah Hashem going slow. Yeah. But it seemingly the Chazan does it different. At least if you watch the videos of the Rebbe, when the Rebbe got into the Amid, I haven't noticed, I didn't pay attention when the Rebbe was not going to the Amid, but the Amid, you see specifically that the Rebbe did not do it by the Amid. So the Chazan does not do it. The Rebbe didn't do it. The Rebbe Baruch Hashem, God, Yisrael, and then they went back 3 steps. So but I'm not sure how the Rebbe did it in general. I don't remember. But yeah, in Shemach it says that's how you should do it. You should start going back 3 steps by Tilos, and then go Yisrael, go back. So like this, you could start Shemini right away. Yeah. Yeah. So the mitzvah of Shema has to be done before 3 hours a day. So these days, the end of saying Shema is about 9:14. After 9:14, if you do Shema, you're not doing the mitzvah anymore. 9:14. So those who daven late will say Shema earlier. Now, but a lot of you, I think, are davening 10 o'clock, right? The question is, what's going on? The answer is very simple. Women aren't obligated to say Shema. Men are obligated. So for women, that's such a big issue. Now, is it a good idea? Because if you want to have the mitzvah of Shema, yeah. If you want to have the mitzvah of saying Shema, do it before 9:14. Yeah, but you don't have an obligation. So that's why it's not such a big emphasis with women, more than men, because they have an obligation. But yeah, if you want to have the mitzvah, you do it before 9:14, yeah.
You're davening with a minion and you're behind, so you want to say Shemona Esrei at the beginning with the chazan, you could do kedusha, or should you wait? Meaning, should you wait by telos or should you wait?
It's a good
before
question.
dawn starts?
There are different opinions. There seems to be different views, and I never got to the bottom of it according to Dal Torah. But it seems according to Dal Torah, you should wait. That's what it seems. On the other hand, it seems I see a lot of people just starting with the chazan, and they say if you say just so everyone understands what's going on a bit. If you are behind the minion and then you're starting Shemona Esrei with the chazan, then you could say kedusha with the chazan in the same place. Then you say kedusha. If you are before, you say with the chazan. The chazan repeating the Shemona Esrei. If you're repeating with the chazan, you say kedusha to get the whole kedusha in your quiet Shemona Esrei. If you're waiting before Shemona Esrei, you wait by Shir Hadasha, and then you only say those parts you're allowed to say. What is better? My understanding was always that it's better to wait the Shir Hadasha, because it seems Al Torah, but that's what Al Torah says. But on the other hand, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking that I want to get to the bottom of it, because I see a lot of people, it's not a proof that people do, people sometimes, but I see a lot of people doing it, and maybe there is some source for it. I'm thinking that it's okay to start with the chaz. I mean, it's definitely nothing, not an isser, it's nothing, not against, but it could be maybe there's a source that says that's the way to do it. But the way I always understood it is that you don't want to do it this way, because lechatchila you're setting up your Shemona Esrei to put, usually in your own Shemona Esrei there's no kedusha inside. Now you're putting kedusha in your Shemona Esrei, which is not usually there. So again, my understanding was always that it's not that you should wait for Shir Chadashim.
Is there a difference on
But
Shabbos?
I'll try to keep in mind to look into it.
Is there a difference on Shabbos?
Why should we be different?
Meaning, on a regular day, you could say kadosh, 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 but that's just the whole kedusha. Like you could say the 3 lines. By
Just
Shabbos, there's a whole paragraph.
Shabbos the same thing, right? So it's the same thing. Whatever you can answer by Shir Chadashim, which is the 3 psukim. Well, whatever you can answer
Right before the break. Right after the break.
whatever you can answer by Shir Chadashim.
Yeah. But I'm saying if you're in the middle of your Shemona Esrei, can you say all of the kedusha?
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
If
then
you
on
are,
Shabbos it'd be different. Meaning, then Shabbos you would rather start, so you could say.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, there's an advantage, right? Okay, so
Sorry,
no. So if you do Shemona Esrei with the chazan and you're going to say kedusha inside the Shemona Esrei, then you do the whole kedusha. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, but the question still is, he's saying
Which
there's
is
an
better?
advantage, but the question is that the right thing, the lechatchila, to start with the chazan? Again, I have this question
Okay.
for years, I never got to the bottom of it.
Right.
And I see people doing it all the time, and maybe there's a source for it, this was down to them, but anyways, I'm gonna try to be there, it's okay. But there's nothing wrong, they're not,
Specific context question that like you come to davening and then they're already doing the you're the one. What's the point?
no,
It's
you're
if you're behind.
You're a little behind, so when you're about to start your Shemona Esrei, the chazan is starting
Yeah.
their Shemona Esrei, you're a little behind. So the question is, can you wait by Shir Chadasha and answer what only way you can answer, the minimum? Or start with the chazan, and once you're together with the chazan and you're saying Shemona Esrei, you're saying the Chayim makes like the chazan, it's just like the chazan is saying Kedusha. So you can also say Kedusha with the chazan, because that's between the Chaim Mason and Ata Kaddish is a place for Kedusha when there is a minyan. So the Chazan is saying it, so you can also. But I'm not sure if not sure what is best. Is it better to wait before and say the minimum or do the Chazan? I'm not sure. I'm not going to make up an answer.
Another question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, when you walk, let's say you walk into school and it's in the middle of that, are you just like threes and like?
You walk into shul in the middle of Kedusha.
Yeah.
That's a different question. So then you stop and you say Kedusha.
Yeah, you're not like supposed to walk. You're supposed to like.
Correct. The right thing is to stop. I mean, some people want to walk, they want to get fine. That's the proper thing, to stop and say Kedusha. If you come towards the end and up to Yimloich, then not necessarily do you have to stop. Yeah, if you come and you're up to Yimloich, then not necessarily do you have to actually stop. Some say that maybe you don't have to, just because you're ready, it's over already. But people usually will stop anyway, they just, say Yimloich. Yeah.
Also, if you are in the middle of your Esrei, and then they start the repetition, you're just supposed to like freeze, right? And just like listen, you're not supposed to actually.
No, not when they stop, by Kedusha.
Yeah,
When they're saying Kedusha, it says you should stop and listen to what they're saying. That's what it says. Only for Kedusha, not for the whole Amida. No. But even then, if it's not like set in stone, meaning if you're like rushing, you have no time, and you won't be able to finish davening properly, it's not like not only must, it's the proper thing. If you want to be part of the Kedusha, you stop and you listen in. Yeah.
If you're outside in the hall, like I'm thinking my shoulder in the hallway outside,
And you hear Kedusha.
and I hear Kedusha, what do I
So
do?
it says clearly, that even if you're not in shul, you're outside literally,
Yeah.
and you hear Kedusha, it says you should stop and answer Kedusha. Yeah. Now again, there are situations where people aren't able to. It's very disturbing for them. A lot of times you have in shul people are learning and they're in davened. So if they're learning and it disturbs their learning, it's brought down as a leniency that you don't necessarily have to get up. Imagine people 7-7, the Bachim are sitting already, there's minyanim going on, so the whole day you can't concentrate. So it's different. Again, if it's going to disturb the learning, then there are leniencies.
What about cottage? You don't have to stop, but should you answer cottage?
Kaddish is not such a big disturbance, so I would think that for Kaddish they should answer.
Should you stand in?
You talking about people who are learning? That's what you're asking?
Or just in the hallway or both?
No, whatever you discussed before, that if you're not in the shul and you hear, it applies to everything. It applies to Kaddish, Kedusha. It says you hear, you have to answer. Again, if a person it disturbs you because he's learning, or a person is rushing somewhere, obviously you have to. Within reason, but generally speaking, you have to answer. Yeah.
I want to go back to if you walk in the shop. I want to go back to if you want to do slurs and positive words you want on coverage, what would you have to do?
Going slow, the Chazan is already up to Kaddish.
And Kedusha.
Kedusha, where are you? Where are you exactly? Tell me exactly where you are. In the middle of Shema. So answer, there's 3 psukim you can answer. The whole pasuk of Kaddish, and the pasuk. Yeah, you stop where you are. You know which pasuk I'm talking about?
No.
The whole pasuk of Kaddish. Right over here. See there's 3 psukim? Kaddish, the whole pasuk Kaddish, is it? Right? Yeah. 3 psukim. You know? Kaddish, the whole pasuk Kaddish, the whole pasuk Baruch, the whole pasuk. That's you can answer during Berchus Krishma.
Oh yeah, where it says from the congregation of the Father. Also, when would we say Kaddish? We say every day?
Kaddish is every time it's Kedusha.
Where the Kedusha?
You mean weekday, as weekdays opposed to Shabbos?
Yeah, when did we say it?
It's every Kedusha has Kaddish Baruch and Yimlah. Shabbos and Yom Tov you have a lot more. Yeah. Every Kedusha will have the pasuk Kaddish Baruch and Yimlah. It's standard.
Sorry,
That's the minimum.
we do it every day, I'm saying, in shul?
In the Amida. Shachris and Mincha, when there's a repetition. Ma'ariv, there's no repetition of the Amidah. Only Shachris and Mincha, they repeat the Amidah. Another, yeah? Any questions? Okay. Now, other halachas during davening, during the Amidah, that is, you're not allowed to yawn during the Amidah.
What if you did?
That's fine. What if you do? So you cover your mouth. Now you're gonna say it's anyways proper to cover your mouth. Sure, but we're discussing halacha. Halachically, you don't have to cover your mouth when you yawn. Even though that's the proper thing to do. But we're discussing now the halacha, and during the Amidah, because you're not supposed to yawn, if you do yawn, I don't even know if your covering helps. It says you're not supposed to yawn. But the person can't help it, so obviously they cover their mouth. That's the best they can do. But the chatchila, you shouldn't even be yawning during the midah. You're not supposed to be leaning on anything. We discussed that already. Whenever you have an obligation to stand, you're not supposed to be leaning on anything. Leaning, we're putting all your weight on it. You are not supposed to be davening facing a mirror and pictures, because you give the impression like you're davening to yourself, davening to the picture. So if there's pictures on the wall, yeah, this happens when you're in different houses, places, you go traveling here and there, you're davening by a mirror at night where there's a there's a shadow, not a shadow, there's reflection, yeah. So like in some shows, you're the night and there's windows and the shades aren't down, and the lights are on, and the lights are inside. It's dark outside. You davening by the window, you see a reflection from yourself, so you can't daven there because that's like a mirror. So you have to cover it.
What if you can't?
What?
What if you can't?
Why can't you cover it?
Well, the entire wall in that room, the room next to us is mirrors. You can't cover the entire wall. So,
The mirror is on this side. It's on east.
yeah,
Yeah.
the entire wall.
So don't daven there. Really, you can't daven there.
Oh wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
This happens, you know how some of the shows, like this happens to me on Shabbos, like the way you're sitting is like this, it's like 770, but like when you stand up to dog, you're supposed to face this way. It was my first time in the show and I didn't know and I was behind, so I just want to straight facing like this. And then like 20 minutes later, when I realized I'm supposed to face this way. What was I supposed to do?
You still did Shemon Esrei.
I just faced like, I faced like, let's say like north or something, I didn't face east.
One second. Call me back in 7 minutes. I'm finishing a class in the middle of the shed. I don't usually have my phone with me. What? What? Yeah. Confirmation. So it's important. I'm sorry.
The Gemara says if you're traveling on a donkey and davening and you can't get off the donkey because robbers may come, but you need to say Shemon Esrei and you're traveling north, you just turn your heart towards yours. I don't think that's gonna be his answer. But that's what
I mean, that's what we talked like in the car.
yeah, meaning meaning the entire wall.
Yeah, you can get away from that, like you can stand.
So then you can daven.
Yeah, and so I opened the door and started behind. Yeah, right.
So then you're fine.
I would stand for the like window.
Well, then you're
edge
fine.
thing. Yeah,
I just
that's
wanted
what I
to-
thought too.
My question was like, if there's a picture, you know?
I'll just finish up. Yeah, any other questions?
Yes, what do I do if I like, this one extra facing the wrong way, but I only realized it later?
Oh, right. So you're still Yaitz Shemon Esrei.
Okay,
You're just the Chatchil, you have to face east.
thank you.
What if the Torah is not on the east?
You don't go according to where the Aron Kodesh is. You go according to its east. Yeah.
What if you realize you're facing the wrong way in the middle of Shemon Esrei?
So then what you do is you turn. Here it is. what you do is, you just turn your head the other direction.
Your head,
You turn
no, your
east,
body.
yeah,
but not your body.
But if
All the
you're
way
facing
back.
Correct.
west.
Wait,
you just turn your head to east, yeah, that's what it
You're
says.
facing west. I just want to ask all.
If
the questions.
you're facing west, then nothing you can do. Once you already started from you're facing west, you just continue. But if you facing the south or north, then you just turn your head to east. Don't move your feet stay where you are, but just turn your head to east. That's it. Why? Why what?
why don't you move the body?
You're not supposed to move your feet. And when you turn your head, you're davening east. You turn it, that's where you're facing. So it's still fine. Okay. We'll stop here.
Thank you.
We'll close this. You want to shut it?
Oh, you didn't. I have no idea. Oh, you didn't.
Hey, Ariella.